Survival on an Imperial hive world requires enduring 18-hour shifts in rusted, lightless corridors. Smog, hunger, and the indifference of highborn overseers define a life of systemic poverty that many feel they will never escape. A solitary pure-strain Genestealer slips into the dark of this brutal landscape. Dropping from a cargo freighter, it navigates the sprawling ventilation systems entirely undetected. It hunts for a first victim, but it does not kill. Instead, the creature performs the Genestealer's kiss, a parasitic ambush that uses a whip-like ovipositor to implant an aggressive alien retrovirus. This virus rewires the victim's DNA and neural pathways. The infected worker enters a state of psychic hypnosis, experiencing a biological imperative to serve the very monster that attacked them. By targeting the marginalized and the forgotten, the alien uses the misery of the workforce to build a foundation for a parasitic insurgency.
Over decades, the original organism mutates. As it absorbs psychic energy from its growing brood, its cranium engorges, and its body bulks out to become a massive patriarch, the anchor for the entire infection. This chart shows how the infection evolves through reproduction. When the infected hosts breed, their baseline genome is spliced with xenos DNA, producing first- and second-generation offspring with multiple limbs and bestial features. These creatures must remain hidden in subterranean vaults or industrial waste zones. They function on animal instinct, providing the raw physical defense for the growing cult. This grotesque biological period serves as the necessary cover for an invisible threat about to rise to the surface. By the third and fourth generation, the biology shifts. The overt alien traits dissolve, leaving a silhouette indistinguishable from baseline humanity. These late-generation hybrids use this appearance to secure positions of influence, infiltrating critical networks like planetary defense forces, labor unions, and local government. These agents work for decades to subtly dismantle planetary security. They misdirect munitions, gather industrial resources, and alter security protocols without ever drawing suspicion. The world's own citizens systematically sabotage the very defenses designed to protect them from external threats. The cult coordinates these efforts through the Magus, a fourth-generation hybrid and a powerful psyker. The Magus possesses the supernatural charisma required to lead a global movement. The Magus frames the coming Tyranid invasion as the arrival of benevolent star saviors. This religion offers the promise of divine liberation to a workforce crushed by Imperial rule. Uninfected humans join the congregation in mass numbers. Driven by the hope for a better life, they willingly devote themselves to the cult's cause. Every follower is bound together by the brood mind. This telepathic network allows the cult to act with a level of coordination that bypasses the need for verbal communication. As the congregation swells, the Patriarch's psychic signature reaches a density that pierces through the warp. This religious call for freedom is actually a biological homing beacon designed to guide a Tyranid hive fleet to a world without its defenses. The long-awaited day of Ascension finally begins when the sun is completely blackened by the arrival of massive Tyranid bioships. At a psychic signal from the Patriarch, millions of sleeper cells activate across the planet simultaneously. Global infrastructure collapses in hours. Miners use weaponized rock drills to seize manufactorums, and guardsmen turn their heavy ordnance on their former officers. The cultists charge into fire with a zeal that defies standard military training. They die with smiles on their faces, convinced they are clearing the path for their divine deliverers. A heavily fortified Imperial world falls into paralysis, dismantled from the inside by its own population. As the Tyranid swarm makes planetfall, ecstatic, tattered workers run forward unarmed to greet the wall of scythe-limbed monsters. Then the connection breaks. The hive mind absorbs the Patriarch, and the comforting warmth of the brood mind is replaced by a cold, psychic silence. For the first time in generations, the followers are truly alone. The star saviors do not acknowledge their devotion. They simply begin the harvest. The ecstatic cheers turn to screaming confusion, as the divine angels treat the faithful as nothing more than raw biomass to be consumed. The Genestealer cult is a tragedy of genetic and psychological manipulation, a population that spends decades preparing its own world for the slaughter.